Scam. I mean, just the different models anyway that we already know about that they deny. But it has got good battery life. It took me ages to run the thing down. It was a steady 38.5 watts. Say 40 watts then, round it up. I thought I'd buy myself a JBL Xtreme 5. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it's YouTube. Everything goes wrong. I know, you're not joking. So, we got the JBL Xtreme 5. We was all pretty excited. It seems a decent upgrade from the JBL Xtreme 4. I wasn't expecting that. What the hell happened? Absolutely nothing at all. Football started. Yeah, take 2. We had better turn the volume down because we don't want that to happen again. Right. So, it's been an ongoing story. If you don't know, it says in the specs, in the manual, the headlines will be,
don't think your nose, whatever you do,
90 watts when you're using DC power. DC being what you get from your power bank and your charger. And 130 watts AC. And what is AC? Alternating current. It's what comes out of your main socket. So I thought I'd plug it into the main socket. Problem number 1, it doesn't have a main socket. It's only got a USB socket. In other words, it'll only take DC anyway. So either JBL are having a laugh or they just don't care about the portables. They're into the more expensive hi-fi speakers. And they just think portable buyers are there to be milked. But we are not cows, and you cannot pull the other one, mate. Right, so here's the problem. It's going to go louder. They say on AC, obviously they mean when you've got USB-C from an appropriate charger. Right, this is where all the fun comes. There are 2 online manuals. One says JBL Xtreme 5 with power adapter, and the other one says JBL Xtreme 5 without power adapter.
Wankers.
They are selling at the same time. Some JBL Xtremes with a power adapter, some without. So you're going to say, well, you're in Europe. Where should I start the story from? Well, to say, yeah, well, let's get the overview. So they're selling some with and without. Some people are saying, well, you're in Europe. It's a European thing. However, that's not true because we know it's nothing to do with any European laws. And some listings, we know listings. I've not heard from anybody in the... Let me check what that guy said. We haven't heard from anybody who's actually got the adapter in the UK, but I think in America, Mr. I'm going to put his thing up in the edit because he gets excited when he sees his name up there. Hang on a second. What am I checking? I've got no idea. What are you doing now? Good question. I was checking what the geezer said to me. All right, let's go in this. Oh, yeah. Amazon Spain says it's included. Amazon Germany says it doesn't. I saw a listing in France says it's included. Here's the problem. In the UK, I've already shown you, for the same actual speaker, the same page, it says both with adapter and without adapter. Why don't you just phone up JBL support and find out what's going on now? Did you not see my video? I started by asking them what's going on. They said it's they're reducing e-waste, aka saving money. But I said to them, well, so the quick bit was, I put my charger in. It's the appropriate charger. I've got several chargers that support at least 20 volts, 5 amps. And you keep asking me, and by the way, all my cables are E-marked and support 5 amps. But I could only get 40 watts. It will only produce 20 volts, 2 amps for me personally. I went on tech support, phoned them up. Live on air. I want to know when this will actually either charge at or use up if you're playing it 80 watts. Where is this 80 watts coming from? When do we need 80 watts? Will it go louder with 80 watts? And I think I'm going to clarify some of that today. So it becomes a big deal because the final piece of this puzzle will be, do you need the actual JBL power adapter to actually get 80 watts? And at what point does it do 80 watts? Is it charging or is it going out? Because the actual adapter we now know is rated at up to 20 volts, 4 amps. So they sell an adapter more powerful than the one you got with the JBL Xtreme 4. Of course, less powerful adapters are going to work. But what we want to know is, how much power do we need to provide it? So that's the thing we're not sure of. Now I'm going to tell you now, I've done all the testing that I can do.
Just the king.
The king.
He is king.
He's the king. He's great. I love him.
To see where we are. The first question obviously is, well, does it go louder anyway, even if it's not doing 40 watts? The answer to that question is, what we're going to put up in the edit is, I've tested this 2 ways.
Oh.
Some people say it's better 3 ways, but it's not that kind of video. Not today, anyway. It could be another day. At 100% charge. So let's see what it's doing when it's fully charged. And I played it at maximum volume in battery mode and in AC mode. And I had my USB tester going at the same time to see what it was actually pulling. Well, when it was in, can you imagine a world in which I'm actually organising, and I know beforehand what I'm going to say. When it's on 100% charge, it will go, in terms of sheer lufts, that is weighted to hearing perception, 1.4 decibels louder. And that's about right. Technically speaking, if you go from everything else being equal, going from delivering 90 watts to 130 watts, you're going to expect 1.6 decibels extra loudness. Remember, it's logarithmic, and so that isn't a lot in the real world. Testing the max is only half a decibel louder. So it does go louder, and when it's doing that, from 100% charge, it's pulling between 33 and 40 watts. It's still topping out, well, basically, it might top out at 40 watts to be precise. So it's only pulling, that's with 5 amp rated, that's trying different properly rated power banks and different properly rated 5 amp minimum cables, 240 watts rated. And it did go louder without the 80 watts, that's with only 40 watts, in other words, 20 volts, 2 amps. At best, you're going to get 1.5, 1.4 decibels louder. But the other question is then, well, maybe it's when it's not fully charged. So I completely drained it. And you've been saying to me, well, Al, it's not going to deliver 80 watts and charging because it's going to be at lower battery levels when it needs that much, and then it's going to slowly taper off. Completely depleted. And by the way, when it's saying 6% in the app, it won't stay on anyway. So 6% is the new 0%. And at that point, charging it from absolutely empty, it was indeed drawing 40 watts. We seem locked in to 40 watts. The maximum I've seen was when it was at 70% and it was drawing 45 watts on the appropriate charges. So they say it's rated at 20 volts, 4 amps, 80 watts, and it must do it, because why would they end up giving you a more powerful charger? But I don't know when it's actually going to deliver it. So we know it's not when it's fully charged and you're playing at maximum volume. We know it don't want 80 watts there. We know it's not when it's 0% battery. It's still only going to pull 40 watts. At best, I was pulling 45 watts by the time it got to 70%. Which just leaves what happens if you actually play it. And I played it at 10%, so almost depleted, but enough to stay on 10% battery level. Measured how much it was pulling at that point. It was a steady 38.5 watts. Say 40 watts then, round up. So at no point is this producing, is it drawing more than or pulling more than 45 watts at absolute maximum, and normally 40 watts. And yet they're telling us, so the only thing I can left to test is to get hold of the actual charger and know if there's some way they are locked together. If there's a problem with the handshaking on the USB. And the other thing is, they do different models. Mine is the GG models, different factories. I wonder if some of them have different specs internally, and some will produce 80 watts, and some are only locking at 40 watts. That's the other thing we need to know. If anybody else is if anyone with the adapter has actually measured that it needs at any point more than 40 watts or will charge it more than 40 watts, please let us know. The other thing is rated as a power bank, 22 watts, 11 volts, 2 amps. I have latest firmware. These are the latest USB testers. It's reporting that this only supports power delivery 3 at 10 watts. I then checked it by trying to charge different devices, including JBL speakers that will charge it much more than 10 watts, and it will only output 10 watts. So there's a massive problem here. I've been emailing tech, so I made the complaint and I've been asking for tech support, and they sent me the email with my support number, and I've been asking them to reply. I've sent 3 emails since I made my last tech support call 5 days ago, asking what's happening, can I have a reply? They're literally ignoring me. So until we know different, and I've tried very hard to get answers from JBL, as a paying customer, appalling. So there's no tech support offered at all. I'm calling scam because I've tried to get a solution to this, and they're actually blanking me. We'll try one more, I think, next week to actually make the phone call. But I can tell you, emails are being ignored. Actually ignoring. They don't want to answer this question. What are the real specs on this? Do you need an 80 watt charger? And do you need JBL's charger? Because that's the problem. If you actually need their charger to deliver full power, 80 watts at some point, then they can't be selling it without one, can they? Do you see the problem? It can't be any charger. I have tried various appropriately rated 20 volt 5 amp or plus, some are 28 volts 5 amps rated, and I'm using 5 amp cables, and I'm using my USB tester, which is a popular tester. It's not a £5 knockoff that I got down Wembley Market. That was many years ago, Wembley Market. They've not had one for years. But hey, we all live in the past, don't we? Right. So that's where we are. Well, it's a scam. It is a scam. If they don't actually want to reply, so they can't really complain about what I'm saying because I've tested and I've asked them for answers, and they're not coming up with answers. So it will go louder even without putting 80 watts. No matter what, it doesn't seem to want more than 40 watts, and it will pull more when it's got less charge. So it's not that it's using the extra power. What is happening is, and you can test that by taking the power lead out, what is happening is it's switching to another DSP mode. Obviously, it's a more steady power supply. You know, power supplies in audio are really, really important. People pay mega money for it. You've got a more steady power supply than if you're literally from the battery. It goes into a more powerful mode. It's not that, and obviously I assume larger capacitors, it can store more, but I think it's more about there's less compression going on. It can deliver a bit more power because it's in a more steady mode. It's not that it's pulling all that power and just using that power. That's not what's happening. You can indeed prove that by pulling the mains out, and it will carry on for some time, playing at those louder, it's a bit louder, those louder volumes, way past where any extra capacitor storage would have been providing that power. So that's where we are. Doesn't appear to need any more power than 40 watts. Seems the benefit would be if it actually charged at 80 watts. Mine doesn't. The only question that remains is, would it do so with the actual JBL power adapter? And if so, then it's a scam selling it without a power adapter. It's a scam having listings on the same listing. My last video said that on the same listing, they say with a power adapter at the bottom, and then a little bit in the middle, if you bother to look there, with an asterisk, power adapter not included. It's a shit show, quite honestly, from JBL. They keep them. They don't want to make answers. We don't know if it's to do with different models, and some will pull the 80 watts and some won't. I suspect that may be a factor here, that different factories, even different models. This is the GG. in different countries may well pull, because that makes no sense that they're literally saying 22 watts, 11 volts, 2 amps, and yet it literally only supports 10 watts. My best bet would be there's different hardware in some of these speakers, but I don't know. That's only my best guess. Can only be a guess because JBL, you don't want to reply. You do not want to reply. I paid for this, so I'm entitled to get tech support. You should know if you phone up and want tech support, you won't get it. They won't. You've got to go through their customer support, and customer support have no knowledge and cannot help you. So nobody will. So send your speaker back. So the difference when you use the mains power to go maximum loudness is going to depend on your battery level at the time. Because if you've got 100% battery level, it's already maxing out the bass, and you're going to get a bigger push in the mids and the highs. For me, I got 1.4 less louder. But when you're, for instance, only at 10% battery level, it's struggling. So putting the mains lead in will give you a bit more in the bass, but then less in the mids and the highs. So the overall loudness, extra loudness perception is only 0.5 less louder, but you are getting a tad more in the bass that you won't get if you're already fully charged on the speaker. Look, not a bad speaker. It's a little bit on the bright side. You can easily pull that down using the custom EQ. 24 hours, we got no idea. They say 24 hours battery life. We got no idea how they test that. But hey, I don't know exactly how long it will go, but it has got good battery life. It took me ages to run the thing down. So I've already said it's a decent package. I think it offers something decent. You can get a bit larger for cheaper that will probably sound a bit better. But in this knockabout form factor, for how deep it goes, it is a lot of fun, and you can certainly EQ that to sound less bright. So I'm not knocking it from that point of view. I'm knocking what JBL are doing. Just they couldn't give a shit. They couldn't care less. They proved it. They won't even answer. I mean, as a paying customer, they won't. They were literally blanking me. I couldn't believe it. I thought I'd at least get some pissy answer, but I've sent 3 emails asking for them to reply. What's happening? They've just literally blanked me. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable they don't actually understand what AC power is, because you don't have to plug your power bank into a wall socket to get the 20 volts, 4 amps that it says it requires. So I'm calling them out. I'm just saying. What else can I say? I know we've got our JBL fanboys and some who don't, who rightly have problems with JBL. I paid 300 quid for this. I deserve better support. I deserve answers. I want to know, when do you get, it's quite simple. JBL, please, when is 80 watts used? Is it when it's being charged or when it's being played? When does it do that? And does it require JBL's own power adapter to do that? Because mine don't work for 80 watts. Or are you making different hardware in some of these speakers, and some will do it and some won't? Get back to me, Sharpish, or we're going to be calling you out for a long, long time. Scam. I mean, just the different models anyway that we already know about that they deny. Paper cones, polypropylene cones, different hardware. Sometimes different models. Some float, some don't float, depending on what those letters are on the serial number, which factory they were made in. Sound different. That's not right. That's not fair on customers who don't know to check my bloody YouTube videos and all that. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again.
What the f*** was that?
It comes from China.
My speaker's got deep bass, balanced mids, and a bright high.
Yes, mine sounds exactly the same.